we're going to hop on a plane. We're going to go to Wembley and just have a good time, because that was the semifinal, and I can't even imagine how they're going to celebrate the final. I think there are a lot of people that might not show up to work tomorrow in England, but for a good reason, because they're in the final of the Women's Euros. Ali, what an exciting day it was, and I can't wait to break it all down. We have a very great conversation with Sarah Szupański. I know you're particularly very excited because of how she's doing with Gotham in her first season. We're also going to talk about the fact that Denver officially has a name. Do we like it? Do we not like it? We have crest, colors, a little bit of everything. I can't wait to see the new jersey, but we're still going to do a little dripping or tripping with it. But we will start with the party, with what we saw in the semifinals. I mean, what a semifinal it was. We see these numbers, Ali, but it clearly does not tell the story. Maybe a little bit when you see when the goals came down from Agyemang.
Maybe an extra time, right? Maybe an extra time. Yeah. Because England definitely was average for me in this game. Italy came out to play. They were defensively organized. They kept England having to, be pretty predictable in and around the box. So I think they handled themselves so well throughout the entire tournament. Despite the fact that they lost, they should be super proud of themselves. They changed the game in Italy, I think, for themselves and for future generations, just because of how successful they were this tournament. And it's so unfortunate that, they couldn't keep the ball out of the back of the net for 2 extra minutes. That was really hard to watch because I think they performed excellent. England wasn't their best, but they had that mentality to come through in the end. And so, that's what it's about. You continue to fight all the way to the final whistle, and that's exactly what they did. So they ended up being able to tie it, and then the extra time. And so I was on the edge of my seat, and it was really exciting. And it just makes me kind of want to get back out there and play so much because I missed that feeling, right? But incredible moments, and what an exciting game for all the fans.
Yeah, it really was exciting. We're excited to see what's coming up for the final. We know we're going to preview a little bit of the semifinal here coming up between Germany and Spain, which seems like a final already. But with what we've seen from England, you were talking about how organized defensively, at least Italy was. On the England side, with Barbara Bonancea's goal that we saw, which, by the way, she's such a great player, a veteran, a staple here for Italy, for the Italian league, for Juventus. Lucy Bronze it kind of gets away from her, Ali.
Yeah, well, when the ball gets in those wide areas and then, you have 2 or 3 wide players having to defend, the center back actually gets drawn out at times. And I did that in the past as well. And it wasn't oftentimes the right thing to do, because then you leave, your other teammates vulnerable in front of goal, and you're not able to mark up touch tight. So when the ball went wide and they created numbers, they dragged out a center back. So then the opposite center back and the outside back have to pick and choose when it's 3v2 in and around those areas. And it just, they lost track of the players. They didn't stay touch tight. And that's when you have that option in front of goal. And I thought they did brilliant with that, bringing players wide, kind of creating a 3v2, keep being able to get a ball in. That was, I think, their first shot on goal.
It was.
And they took advantage of it. And, I mean, what a start for Italy.
Yeah, and the game can be very cruel, as I'm sure you experienced. I don't want to say several times.
Not often. Not often.
But you've experienced that heartbreak that we saw from the Italian side today. I mean, this was their best performance in a Euro Cup since 1997. We're talking about 18 years. These women became officially professional 3 years ago, which is insane to think about. And I was telling you, I had the opportunity to call some of the Italian league, and the talent there is just so rich. So I'm glad that they're able to do this on such an important stage. But let's talk about how it ended for Italy. That penalty. Was it a penalty for you?
No, it wasn't. It was a bit soft. I mean, good thing Beth Mead took advantage of that moment, because we're always told when you're in and around the box, you feel a slight touch, especially in a moment.
Soft body.
You feel a moment like that, you have to take advantage of it and just make it, make it the best you can and see what comes out of it. And what happened was getting a PK. So sometimes, you don't always have to be right, but if you take that opportunity when it counts, then, you have a situation that happened. Chloe Kelly luckily followed up on that and was able to, get the rebound, which, was shocking, because she's really good at, PKs and making sure that she finishes in those moments. So none other than her, I wasn't surprised that stepped up to take that moment.
And she stepped up in 2022. She had that late winner in the final. She's so great off the bench. So she was the official player of the match. But we're giving our player of the match to Michelle Agyemang. This story about this teenager, she's 19, is so impressive. A year ago, she was a ball girl at Wembley, and today she's the hero. Now she gets that equalizer. What impressed you most about Michelle today? Because she's had a great tournament.
Yeah, I mean, she loves to get on the ball and get in those spaces where she can come to feet, but she's just, such a sensation, and she's a young substitute that comes on and she really affects the game in such a positive way. She's really been key in England even getting to the final. So she's been incredible. I love seeing her perform, even if it's for those 5-10 minutes, right? Yeah, they went into extra time today, but even in previous matches, she goes on, she knows her role, she knows her responsibility. She does it so well. You're not going to see her run in behind all the time and get the ball, in between the lines. She's always going to want to in feet to be able to turn, to be able to create those opportunities that she can, in and amongst the 18. But she does so well getting herself in good spaces in front of the goal to be able to get those rebounds that she's had so much success on, which is why they're in the position that they're in, because both her goals have been on rebounds, just kind of picking and choosing her spots in and around the goal. So she's been super effective, and I think Sarina Wiegman has definitely utilized her in a perfect way. It might have been a little bit too late for me today, but other than that, I mean, it's working and it's effective, and now they're on to the final.
Yeah, I mean, better late than never it was here for Agyemang, for Chloe Kelly as well, and I mentioned her. I mean, speaking of super subs, it's evident when we think about super subs, especially with this England side, it's Chloe Kelly all the way. It's Michelle Agyemang today. Have they done enough, Ali, to be more than a super sub to maybe start in the final?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely in the discussion, right? I don't know. We know that Sarina Wiegman has definitely been consistent in the squad that she likes, right? The personnel that she prefers. It doesn't mean they're better or worse, right? It just means that these are the players that you're going to choose. And not every coach is going to pick you to start, but it doesn't mean you're not a starter, right? It doesn't mean that you can't earn that position. I think both of them have earned that, but because what she's been doing has been working, I don't know if you're going to adjust that just because it's a final. You don't really want to change anything drastically just because of the game that it is. You want to go into it the same way that you've been, successful, which is the way she's been performing. But you never know. I think it's surprising to me that Chloe Kelly in the press conference had said, back in January, I was even debating on continuing to play football because she moved from Man City and then went to Arsenal and was really struggling to get into the squad. And now you see her coming out into the Euros game after game, being subbed onto the field and performing her best and really creating a positive change and impact for England. So it's wonderful to see a player with that mentality, right, as just an individual, to have the strength to go out there and really affect the game, even just coming off the bench. So we might see a change. I doubt it. It's possible. I don't want to say that it's not, but I think Sarina has been set in her ways this tournament, and because it's been consistent, I don't know if that'll be adjusted for the final.
It's such a short tournament, too. It would be weird to see this turnaround. Maybe if we were in the group stage, that could be the opportunity, and maybe you've already won one and tied one, so you're kind of up there in the group stage, but we're talking about the final here. For England, and this has been a team that's been, I mean, I don't want to say criticized, maybe that's been questioned here in this tournament, especially with the way that it started here for them. When we talk about takeaways, we were talking a little bit about what they lack defensively. Where else do you see that Achilles heel here for England still?
I do believe it is in the defense, and because they've had to adjust some personnel, right? And there might be a few knocks and injuries here, which you don't normally change your back line, right? And I think that we saw after the first game, there was a bit of a struggle on the left-hand side. So then you saw Greenwood come out to the left, and then Jess Carter moved on the left-hand center back, which I thought was a really smart move. And that momentum in the second game clearly was the decision maker going forward, and why they started to become the England that we know that they can be out on this field. So I think we're going to see a slight change. And now you saw Jess Carter not even didn't start today, but then come into the game and affect it because of her leadership and the quality that she has, just her calmness on the ball. And so I think that Serena had to adjust a little bit to make sure that this game would be successful. So yes, there were a slight adjustments, but I think the substitutions have been key in the way that they've come out and performed to get them to the next round. And so I think, we're going to continue to see that. I'm unsure how they'll set up. Most likely they'll set up the same way that they did today. And now it's just a question of who will start up top, because I do think Alessia Russo wasn't as effective as a Chloe Kelly or even a Beaver Jones. So we'll see how she'll start out in the front in the 9 position, because I think that has been a bit of a struggle too.
Yeah, I mean, and going back to the super sub thing, I mean, as players, you don't grow up and you're saying, well, I want to become a professional and I want to be a super sub, right? You want to start every game, but it takes a very special kind of mentality to still come off the bench. I mean, we're talking about a teenager as well. We just talked about Chloe Kelly, but the mentality of this England team to come from behind, however, the struggle bus that they were riding to actually get there and make it kind of a little bit more cardiac than they had to, yeah. But they're still getting it done. Mm-hmm. Is the mentality the strongest thing that England still has?
I agree with you. I do think so, because even against Sweden, I thought Sweden they were winning 2-0. That's actually one of the most difficult leads to have in a match, right? Because you kind of think you're a little bit comfortable. You don't have to keep your foot on the gas. You can kind of let up a bit, but not at this level. You can't, because any team can win on any day, no matter what the score is. We've seen that time and time again. So their mentality brought them through that game, and they even had one less day of rest than Italy, right? And Italy was actually there watching the Sweden-England game, and I was just, surprised that they were able to, come out of that in the very last moments of the game, and then, apply that again to today. So yes, mentality is key, and especially in a tournament like this where you have 6-7 games to play and you have to perform your best every single game in order to stay in the tournament. That takes a lot of mentality and a lot of strength and just consistency for a team to get to the final. So congrats to them, especially coming from behind and not allowing their heads to drop, not allowing their mentality to drop either. And I think that they've been excellent. A complete game from start to finish. The game is not finished until the final whistle blows, and they have proven that they can handle the pressure. And it's really impressive to see, especially at this stage where there's a few injuries, not everyone's as healthy, Yep. There's been personnel changes, roles and responsibilities are adjusted. So yes, mentality has to be the most important thing.
I do want to shout out before we move on, Jess Carter and the message that she shared on her social media. I really hope she's feeling the love that she so deserves from her teammates, from the fans, and of course that she's feeling as confident as ever, Allie.
Right, and I feel for her, and I hope that she is okay and in a good mental space. I think that brings the team closer together. Yep. You can rally around each other and support each other, but there's no place in this sport or in this world for racism. Yep. It has to be just left, especially off this field where, you are at the pinnacle of your sport. You're at one of the biggest tournaments in the world, and you have worked your entire life in a moment like this. And for that to be overshadowed by racism, something that, an issue that we continuously fight every single day as a collective, I think we need to definitely be in support of her. And I hope that her and her teammates are okay now, Yep. maybe in better spirits because they are in the final. But yeah, there's no place for racism in the sport. And I know that our thoughts are with her at this time.
Absolutely. Protect your peace, however that looks. So I'm glad she's doing that for herself as well. And like you said, it's great. It's a great feeling to be in any final, especially when we're talking about the Euros. But speaking of the final, of course, we don't know who that other finalist is going to be. Germany will be facing Spain. And I mean, we were on the group chat after what we saw from Germany. unbelievable from Ann-Katrin Berger. I mean, it's no coincidence that we're mentioning so many Gotham players as well. So it's great. Yeah, exactly.
Esther going against, Berger.
That's true.
I think this is going to be, I mean, they play against each other every day,
I'm
right?
excited. Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see this matchup. I can't wait. Two club teammates battling it out on one of the biggest stages in women's football. So that'll be.
What is that like?
It's difficult, but for us, being as competitive as we are, we can be friends before and after the game, but don't come for me and don't look at me and don't talk to me during the match.
It's all business.
It's all business, and it's time to play. And there's no issue with that at this level. There's really no issue with that, but you can be friends before and after the 90 minutes.
I mean, England won't want to be friends with either Germany or Spain when it comes to the final, but who do you think they're hoping to see in the final, Allie?
Well, I think they're going to hope to see Germany, right? Because a few players have been suspended. Some players have been injured. They might not be full squad because playing Spain is always so difficult. They are incredible right now. I mean, unstoppable. They're unmatched. They play beautiful football. Their possession-oriented style is something that every team in the world wants to emulate. I think they are deserving of being in this final. So I know England is probably like, okay, let's have Germany step right up. But you do want to play the best, right? To be the best, you always want to play the best. And you want to feel that you've earned that and that it's so rewarded at the end. So I think when they hoist the trophy, whoever that may be, they want to play against a team that actually deserves to be there. So you have a really difficult choice, England, between Germany and Spain.